I intentionally raced for points once I saw I was doing well and I had a chance to finish well. And so there's certain things people need to know when they're racing for points. But this year I'm not. Like I'm not running the Monday night SOFs this year. Me and Robert and Scotty are doing the live broadcast, and we really enjoy doing that. And I'm just doing other things. But you are racing for points, and so let's talk about that. Let's finish out the broadcast on this subject matter. Talk about racing for points. I want to talk about you specifically. Like, I mean, you're number one, dude. That's an accomplishment right now. And so, like, what does it feel like to look at this leaderboard and see your name as number one in Division One, which means Division One is the top guys in all of whatever series it is. This is B Open or Xfinity Open that we're talking about, and to be just to be Division One. When the season starts and you enter your first race, you have to have at least a 3,500 I rating just to get into Division One. So this is the best of the best in iRacing. And so when you look at the best of the best, you're set. You look and see your name. And really, anybody in the top 25 is the best of the best of the best. But you're looking at this page and your name's number one, man. What does that feel like this year?
It's honestly pretty unbelievable, to tell you the truth here. Last year, I didn't pay any attention to points. I went racing for wins. And one thing I've really learned about it is you do have to be intentional about running for points. And you have to be strategic about it. And I think it was you, Mike, that asked, why don't you run the SOF races on Mondays? And I didn't have an answer. So that's something that I've really kind of focused on. We did miss the first couple SRF races, so it's kind of hurting us there in a couple weeks in points. But very happy where we're at right now. And I think a lot of it goes to wanting exposure for all the hard work that goes into these setups. Brandon Hawk works his tail off every single week. So to be able to show him, hey, look, the hard work that you're putting in is paying off. You're the number one setup guy right now. It's pretty incredible. So, and yeah, I'd always like to have more wins. Finally got my first SOF win at Richmond, of all places. I'm not a big fan of Richmond, but it really just comes down to the intention of it and really paying attention to it. Brandon's putting up a heck of a fight. He had me at the end of the day week, so I had to run one more race and get more points than him to get back on top. So it's going to be a battle. 6 drop weeks, trying to keep that calculated in the back of your mind. So my motto is every week, once at the end of the week, I post the points and say, we're just going to top 5 them today. So if you can remain top 5, you're going to put up good points. And that's all you can do is try your best and work hard at it and go for it.
Absolutely. So I want you to explain. I mean, I could explain it, but I'm not the guest. So let's have you explain. Me and you have both alluded to it. You have to be intentional. Well, what in the world does being intentional mean when it comes to running for points? And then you said, so we both said the whole being intentional. And then you mentioned that last year you ran for wins and this year you're running for points. And people are probably scratching their head like, Mike, what in the world are you talking about? Running for wins, running for points? Isn't it all the same thing? And so please tell people, how do you have to be intentional? What are the calculations when you're thinking about how many races you run? And what's the difference between running for wins and running for points?
Yeah, so when it comes down to being intentional, we can kind of go back to what we were talking about, those midnight races we were doing in B Open at Darlington.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good for racing for points, right?
Right. So it really comes down to you want to have good competition to get those good points, because the way that iRacing formulates the point system is the best out of the first 4 is going to be your top points for that week. So if you're running 4 1,500 SOF races, you're not going to get max points as someone who's running prime time races, the Monday night races, and finishing well in those races. So that's where it comes down to being intentional. Also in racing for wins, we always race for wins. So we don't show up to finish second, right? So I don't want that taken the wrong way, but it's really putting yourself in positions to actually have those good finishes. So one thing I've grown with personally is if I was struggling in a race, I was going to put myself in a bad position to try to get a better finish, right? Which ended up with multiple wrecks, not getting any points. So I'll use Dover as an example. We didn't have the best car. We struggled, started deep in the field. I killed the tires trying to be aggressive. We went from, I think it was 12th to 3rd in the first 20 laps. And then we just killed the right front. So we fell back to 16th. And just having that never give up mentality, we're able to catch a couple cautions and end up finish 5th in the SOF race. So really just being smart with the moves that you're making, not over aggressive, racing to the end, not racing to the next lap is a big thing, and keeping a good head on your shoulders, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, and you had taught. So I want to dig into more specifics and two things because whenever we say racing for wins, I'm simply talking about getting the sheer number of wins because I've been like that before. Like, and I get like that in certain weeks. Like, if there's a track I love that I'm fast at, and that's why I was getting so irritated. I was like, man, Cody's back on the track. Is because traditionally I've been really good at Darlington, and then you get a lot of people not participating because they don't want to hurt their safety rating or whatever. So, I mean, there's a lot of single split races and they don't even split at Darlington unless it's like prime time of the night. And so when I would race for wins, I mean, literally, I wanted to get the most wins that week. I wanted to do the same thing we just did, but instead of sorting for championship points, I sorted for wins and my name was the top. And if you go back last season, before you started coming in and racing those midnight races with me, I did. You know,
well, you raced with the Geritol bunch.
When I say racing for wins, I mean the most number. And I think you've done that before in the past too. Explain to people how racing for wins, like is in getting the most number of wins, how directly that can hurt your championship points. Like why will racing for the most number of wins hurt your total championship points for that week?
Yeah, and we can kind of correlate this over to the road to pro side of it as well, right? So the higher strength of field is going to pay more points. So if we're just racing every single B Open, there's bound to be one that's going to not be a strong field. So to put that in perspective, if you win first or top split road to pro, you're going to get more points than 25th split road to pro, just because the strength of the field is going to be higher. So with doing all those races, and like I said, the way that iRacing has the points system formulated, those first 4 races are important. And if you don't get a great finish in those first 4 races and have to go more than 4, they start averaging your finishes together. So when you do that and get those 10 wins, yeah, it's great for the win portion of it, but you've got to make sure that we're taking care of the points aspect of it when you are doing this points racing as well.
Yeah, and so I want to get into a little bit of the detail, and I just know what they are. And I thought it was 4 races at first, and then I heard it was 3. It's one of the two. It's either 3 or 4. But basically, what iRacing does, and this is so everybody knows exactly. So if you're wanting to run for points, you can run a lot of races if you want, but you may have to be a little picky or choosy and say, oh, that one's a little too low of a strength of field. I might want to skip that one. Because I'm not trying to tell you that you can only run 1 or 2 or 3 races a week if you want to run points. I finished last year in the top 10 and I ran a bunch of races, right? And it was some weeks of my favorite tracks. I just said, I don't care. I want to run them all. But if so, what you got to do is if you're running for points, here's how they calculate it. It's either 3 or 4. I'm not sure which. Cody says 4. I thought it was 3. I used to think it was 4, whatever. It's either 3. So what they do is I always go with 3 now to err on the side of caution. So I wouldn't want to get that 4th one and mess me up if I was running for points. But what they do is if you race either 3 races or 4, we'll just say 3 for this conversation. So your first 3 races, whatever your highest championship points finish is, that's the one that counts, and it just drops the other 2. But if you race a 1 race more than that first group, let's say it's 3, so you race a 4th race, then now it starts a new group of 3 or 4. Actually, I'm going to go with 3 because I think that's what it is. Then it starts a new group of 3. And then what it does is it takes the highest one of that group, and then it averages those 2 high ones together to get your championship points. So it's okay if you run if you run 6 races in a week, and they're all like high strength of field races, Monday night, 8 p.m.s, 10 p.m.s. That's okay, right? Unless you win the Monday night 10 p.m., you're like, okay, I'm done for the week because that's the highest I'm going to get. Then okay, fine. But if you don't win that one, it's okay to race 6 races, but just know that it's going to take the highest one from the first group of 3, the highest one from the second group of 3, and it's going to average them together. And then the last thing I'll tell you is after this podcast Cody, let's get together and if anybody on your team knows for sure, or we can find it documented somewhere, whether it's 3 or 4, I'll post it down in the comments of this video or put it in the description or something so everybody will know. Since there's a little bit of question about it now, let's look up and find the documentation because it's important when you're trying to plan this stuff, which one it is. But we'll let everybody know down afterwards. But anyway, if that is the case, you want to try to make sure you race that many. So if you're going to race more than one, if it's 3, then race 3 and don't race a 4th. If you're going to race a 4th, then you need to race 5 and 6 as well, probably, because you need to make sure you get the opportunity to get the highest you can in that group of 3 or that group of 4. Because what you don't want to do is race 3 of them and have one really strong one, then go race a 4th race if it's 3, then go race a 4th race, get wrecked out, and get 10 championship points. Then it's going to take your 200 championship point race that was the high one out of the first 3, and then it's going to average it together with the one race that you finished 10 with, and you're going to have a crappy championship point that week. So you're better off than racing 2 more races and make sure you get a strong one of that group to average the 2 high ones together. So that's how that works. And Cody, is that how you understand it to work as well?
Yeah, 100%. And I can tell you that 99.9% sure that is the 4. That's the formula we've used over at Ryko, and we're the back-to-back A Open champions with Jay's Newton. So 99.9%.
Okay, so my method was correct, but I was wrong about 3. Okay, so there you have it. Cody's saying that he's like super sure it's groups of 4, but the principle's the same.
And to kind of flip it, you can look at Mike Bruno in the B car standings right now. Dude has run 131 races and sitting P3. So I mean, it can be done. But
he also runs mostly races in the evening after work. So he's getting the 8 p.m. and the 10 p.m.s. And so he every 4 races in that group, he's having at least 1 or 2 that are pretty high strength of fields. And that's the only way you can do it. That's the only way you can run all those races and still be really competitive in championship points.
Absolutely.
And
I just race for iRating points. I'm not up there with you guys. I just want to get my iRating up, and I just want to get less safety incidents and 20 iRating points or something.
I want to beat Scott. That's all.
Beat Scott.
I just want to be able to finish the race without being in a crash.
There you go.
I'm doing good, and all of a sudden somebody wrecks right in front of me, and there's nowhere to go, or somebody hits me from behind, and I mean, Dover has just been, and I got a second place there at Dover.
Ron beat you out. Ron beat you.
Yeah, but Scotty, I've been telling you what we need to get. We've been saying this for a while. The guy's wrecking in front of you and you getting collected. You can't help that. But I think the big thing is going to help you with track awareness and avoiding some wrecks is to either get you set up with some kind of ultra wide or triples or VR or something other than just a regular 16:9 monitor. I mean, I think that's going to help you a lot if we can ever transition you to something else.
I got a 32-inch curved, but I need
but it's 16:9. So that's what I'm saying.
I do know a guy selling a 49-inch ultra wide. If you're interested,
that happened to you. Well, Cody, what is it?
How do you like those 332s? You like that better than the ultra wide?
I do. So I'm still fine tuning them just to get everything adjusted correctly. It is pretty difficult. Not having much of a computer background. But yeah, I like it a lot. The visuals, having someone inside is very helpful, especially on the restarts. That's where I'm noticing the most difference.
Well, that's what I do, especially if I'm starting on the outside line, like is like the second place car. Like I got VR on, so I'm going down the road with my head this way, just staring at the car, waiting for it to go with my gas on the throttle. So it does help. But I can imagine if you had triples, you could do the same thing. You just turn your head, looking at that side monitor all the time.
You use some peripheral vision. You just look over the side a little bit, and you can still see him.
And while he's doing that, his car's going left and right.
So,
hey, Scotty, I did want to thank you for leaking those B car times for Darlington earlier. I definitely appreciate that.
what did he do?
Oh, was that?
For letting those times out from Darlington. Those practice times?
No problem. Yeah. It was an open practice, so it wasn't no secret or anything.
Got you.
Yeah. I mean, you could have been in that practice too with us, but
I can't show you how fast I'm going to beat Mike this week.
Stop
Gotta keep
it.
that close to-
That's right. You don't want to show your
I
hand too
think-
early.
I think Mike Howerton ran in the 29s. If I was told he ran a 29.8 or something like that, or 29.7, didn't you, Mike?
29.9, I think
Close to almost a 29.8. Close.
it was. It was a low 29.9, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what
Well,
happens. I'm
you,
sure
know,
Cody.
you can have
So-
all
so
the speed. You
what
can
are-
have
what are
all
your
the speed
times?
you want.
What's your times looking like, Cody?
Well, I can't tell you. We'll find out on Monday night.
Well, surely you can tell us. If you tell us and they're good, you can sell sets right now.
Oh, they're good. We've every time we go to Darlington, we've proven ourselves there, and we're just as good, if not better, this time.
Yeah,
I
Cody,
believe
this is
you.
just a pre-production meeting for Monday night's strength of field race.
29.7.
So Cody, here's my thing, and I beat you up over this couple times ago when we were I think the first time we were on Darlington together and ran a bunch of races together, and you beat my doors off and just beat me completely. You said, "Oh man, I'm just running the set. We're selling the website," so I went and bought it, and I was slower with yours than I was mine. And so I was obviously doing something wrong if that's the case. Like I'm not saying I'm not part of the problem here. so can you give me any tips as far if I go right now and buy the Ryko set, can you give me any tips on my driving?
Yeah, man. So it really just comes down to protecting the tires. I will say we 100% run what's on the website. If anyone questions us, we'll pull it up in Discord while we're still on the track. So
You are racing what you're running.
So
absolutely.
So let me ask you this. So for having you on the podcast and letting you promote the set this week a little bit. And if I go buy it with the purchase, does that get me one personal one-on-one coaching session with Cody Terlinde?
I got you, buddy. I got you. You put that purchase in there, and we'll do it.
I could go over there, or you could come over here, but I want the personal treatment from Mr. Cody Terlinde.
As long as Mr. Ryko approves it, I'm down.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
he's chiming in here.
Me and Ken are like this anymore. I'm sure he'll approve that. The special one-on-one training. Just a one-time thing. That way you can show me what I'm doing wrong. Maybe that way, instead of you beat me by 10 or 15 seconds, you only beat me by like 5 or something. Hey, I'll tell you what, Cody, I appreciate you being on tonight, man. I just wanted to talk about, I thought that was cool to have that last segment to get in the weeds on championship points, because some people start to run championship points and they don't kind of understand the process. And so I think running them through it, like letting them know the difference between trying to run to get as many wins as you can versus trying to run to get the best championship points you can, about the idea that there's groups of 4. It doesn't average all of your races together. It averages the top from each group of 4 you do. Like that kind of stuff, I think is really going to help people. And man, who better to hear it from than the dude that's winning and leading in championship points, right? I mean,
it's crazy to hear it every time you say it. Like, unbelievable. I'm really proud of everything we've done. So couldn't do it without my Ryko guys.
I hear you. I felt the same way when I finished in 10th place last year overall. I was like, that's awesome. I was like, the best, I finished 10th. I'm not saying I was the 10th fastest car. It's just you're out there every week on the track and you're having consistent finishes. That's all it means. You're out there, you're fast, but you're out there and you're having top consistent finishes. And you've even won an SOF race this season. So that's awesome too. Congratulations on that. I want to give you, a few final words, Cody. Anybody you want to shout out, anything you want to talk about, you want to plug Ryko, whatever you want to do, man. It's your chance. You got the last word of the night.
Oh man. No pressure there, right? So definitely got to thank everybody over at Ryko. Brandon building the bad butt setups there. So really proud of him. We're going to show him how much speed we got again this week. So everyone that puts time into it, testing with us, running laps with me, teaching me, I'm really proud of those guys there. I've got to give a shout out to my league that I help admin over there. So Asphalt Outlaws Racing, the Beverly's, great people. They've been customers of Ryko for a while as well. So I'm thankful for them and giving me the opportunity to actually help them build their group over there. And then we have to go with Roasted Gems Coffee for jumping on with Ryko. Being on the road to Pro Truck this year, actually won a hat from them, so it should be here tomorrow. Pretty excited. So we can actually have some merch to theirs to rep, and definitely think their support. what they did for Ryko as well.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this short clip from our Alien Factory podcast. Be sure to check us out every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time here on our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/Area 51 Alien Factory. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you have not subscribed yet. We really appreciate your subscription to the channel. Also, if you really want to help the channel out, the best thing you can do is share this video anywhere you can, on Facebook, on Twitter, Discord, anywhere that you can share the video. We'd appreciate it. That's really going to help our channel out. Also, get down to the bottom and you can check out the description below. There's some promo codes and affiliate links down there and different things down in the description. So don't forget to get on and check that out. And if you would like to get notified anytime that we go live with either our podcast, live streaming races, or when we upload any of our great on-demand content series here on the channel, just hit that bell icon down below and you will get notified anytime that new content comes up on the channel. We appreciate you sticking with us this video. And as always, we will see you in the next one.